I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? So today we're going to start a bit of a series. This will be probably about 6 or 7 episodes. And what we're going to do is go from 1-star skill moves to 5-star skill moves. The reason why I'm doing this is that I believe that learning these skill moves in the game is the most enjoyable way to improve at the game. At least that's been my experience, right? You can learn the meta. You can learn, obviously, how to defend. I would consider myself a good defender. You can learn these type of things. But I don't necessarily feel like it makes the game more enjoyable. What I find to be the most enjoyable is getting better at finding situations where I can use various skill moves. So I wanted to start from the ground up, go from 1-star all the way to 5-star, and then also include trickster abilities because that is a new function in the last couple of years of this game.
I need that. We need that.
And potentially we might do like a best of 7th episode or something like that. Now, before we dive in, I am actually going to demonstrate all these in the game in a moment. You're going to see them soon. But it's worth mentioning that if you have any interest at all in real life, football or soccer, that I would invite you to consider actually practicing a lot of these skill moves on an actual soccer pitch or on a patch of grass. The reason why is because a lot of these skill moves that are from 1-star to 4-star skill moves are actually the more common moves used by professionals, right? The best players in the entire world who are absolutely elite. And when I'm referring to these players, the best in the world, I'm talking about actual in real life, actual footballers, professional footballers. I'm not referring to us who play the video game in this context. 99% of the time, if they're doing any sort of moves at all, they are literally 1-star to 4-star skill moves at most. And it's extremely rare for any of them to bother using 5-star skill moves, let alone pull them off effectively. And I was also thinking of actually recording myself demonstrating a lot of these moves, but that will restrict me from being able to upload these videos in a timely manner. So maybe we could do a fun series in the future revolving around that. We'll see. But for now, I want to show you in game. I've got some squad battles loaded up to demonstrate the 4 that we're going to go over today. And then we've got a bunch more coming up. So that being said, I hope you enjoy a bit of this mini tutorial, episode 1. Also, when I'm demonstrating these skill moves in the game, I would encourage you to take a look at the controller overlay that I have in the top right corner of the screen. There you will see what the inputs are, but you can also pause and take a look at the inputs that I've made a note of in our trusty notepad as well. But during the game, you can see in real time and you can kind of keep rewinding it a little bit to see if you want to hone in on each skill move. If you're curious, you can very clearly see it while I'm performing them because of the controller overlay. So here we have a game pulled up and we're going to start with what is by far the most meta skill move of all of these 1-star skills. And that is actually a shot cancel. So even the goalie, which may surprise you, can actually perform one of the most meta skill moves in the game. And even the center backs who have usually 2-star skill moves can perform shot cancels. And it'll work okay against the AI here, but it'll work even better against real life opponents. So you can see here with a player like Hansen, the agility, the way to turn directions is much better. Here we're doing a bunch more shot cancels. Oh, you can see my inputs, by the way, right? So you can see, even though this is AI, you can imagine that that would be pretty effective in a real game, in this game. These 1-star skill moves are the most commonly used in real life. If you look at even the elite of the elite, players like Messi and all sorts of elite players, actually a lot of the time what they're doing in the box are shot cancels, right? They're basically body feints and then changing of directions. Now, the second one of the 4 that I want to show today is going to be an open up fake shot. So that's going to be L1 and with a fake shot put together while you start to turn your left stick in a different direction than where you're moving, right? So you can see this. If you go backwards, now I should have been more focused on keeping the ball there, but let's just get this ball here. So let's use Hansen in this case. So if you fake shot backwards, you'll drag it back. This is usually the least effective way to perform the skill move. What's usually better is sort of a 45-degree angle where you're kind of like that. Now, the third one we're going to go over today is kind of interesting. It's actually the directional nutmeg. Most people think of this skill move as a 4-star skill move. That's because it has another version that only 4-star skill move players and up, so also 5-star skillers, can pull off. So the animation is entirely different. But if we go back to our keeper here, for example, okay? Even Mike Magnon can pull off. Now, this is going to be tricky. It's a little bit dangerous as well. But Magic Mike here, if you see this, can actually pull off what is known as a directional nutmeg.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
Right? Now, I'm probably going to get myself in trouble here. That's a foul all day. But you can see even the goalie can actually perform directional nutmegs because fundamentally, it's actually a very easy move to perform. But what I'll show you here as we move up the pitch is how the animation looks differently based on the player you use. So for example, Saliba is going to have the same animation type as Mike Magnon. You can see, you know, it's not the cleanest, it's not the smoothest. But then you get to Toure or Sissoko. Actually, here, we'll just go with Hansen here. So you can see, right? I better not get in trouble here. But you can see, right? And if you want to go backwards, you can see how that looks. So you can tell the difference between that and a player like Koundé, right? Where when they drag it back, it's not as smooth. It's not quite as, there's not as much flair when they're 3-star skills or less. Yeah, there, see? Big difference between that and this. Now, the last one we're going to go over here is going to be juggling. Now, this is much more valuable to practice, say, in real life to develop a bit of your touch on the ball. But in this game, it's extremely toxic. But what you do is you hold L2 and you start tapping R1. Now, if your opponent is being extremely toxic, I actually don't do this in game ever. But if your opponent's being extremely toxic and you want to sort of, you know, give something back, then you can consider doing this. If you have like a 2 or 3 goal lead and it's, you know, maybe late in the game against a super toxic opponent that, you know, you feel really deserves it. This is an example of something that you can start doing in game. You've probably seen people do it to you at some point or another, but, oh, I did not mean to do that. You can see what I did to do that. I clicked R3 instead of tapping R1 there, but you're here and holding L2, tapping R1. You can basically do this infinitely. A 5-star skiller can even do other things with the ball in the air, although I didn't pull it off there. So that's pretty much the tutorial, right? You can go into squad battles. I'm getting multiple objectives done with this squad while also messing around with these skill moves for this video, for example. And you could consider doing the same thing if you have any interest in improving with some of these moves and incorporating them into your game. So with that being said, I hope you'll enjoy this series. Like I said, I have an intention to do a 7-part series of this. I may sprinkle in other unrelated videos in between in terms of an upload schedule. We'll see. But if you're enjoying this type of content or you have ideas for other types of content that you would be interested in, feel free to chime in the comments section, and I would be happy to consider, you know, making a video based around that. So as usual, I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.